Good afternoon. Glad that you've chosen to spend some time studying the Bible with us today. Today we're looking at Mark chapter 14, verses 26 through 52. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives, and Jesus said to them, "You will all fall away, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. But after I am raised up, I will go before you to Galilee." Peter said to him, "Even though they all fall away, I will not." And Jesus said to him, "Truly I tell you, this very night, before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. But he said emphatically, "If I must die with you, I will not deny you." And they all said the same. And they went to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I pray." And he took with him Peter and James and John, and began to be greatly distressed and troubled. And he said to them, "My soul is very sorrowful, even to death. Remain here and watch." And going a little farther, he fell on the ground and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he said, "Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Remove this cup from me. Yet not what I will, but what you will." And he came and found them sleeping. And he said to Peter, "Simon, are you asleep? Could you not watch 1 hour? Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." And again he went away and prayed, saying the same words. And again he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were very heavy, and they did not know what to answer him. And he came the 3rd time and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? It is enough. The hour is come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand." And immediately, while he was still speaking, Judas came, one of the 12, and with him a crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying, "The one I will kiss is the man. Seize him and lead him away under guard." And when he came, he went up to him at once and said, "Rabbi," and he kissed him. And they laid hands on him and seized him. But one of those who stood by drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. And Jesus said to them, Have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs to capture me? Day by day I was with you in the temple teaching, and you did not seize me, but let the scriptures be fulfilled. And they all left him and fled. And a young man followed him with nothing but a linen cloth about his body. And they seized him, but he left the linen cloth and ran away naked. So this scene in the Garden of Gethsemane is a familiar one if you've been a student of the Bible for very long. But there's still some things that we can glean from this. They had had their Passover meal. They sang a hymn. They went to the garden. Jesus had said, in a way that Jesus said so many things they saw the truth of. He said, "You will all fall away because of me." It was a prediction that they did not like. They didn't believe. They didn't accept. Jesus had said so many things that they'd seen happen just that way. And yet, when it came to this, it was as though they agreed, "Jesus, you might know a lot of things, but what you don't know is me." Which is silly when we say it out loud, but that is basically what was being said. And Peter immediately speaks up. And Peter says, "Jesus, sure, all those guys, yeah, I mean, we both know what they are, but I won't fall away." Now, you might say, "Well, wait, it doesn't say that." No, it says, even if they all fall away, I won't. He is definitely staking out the high ground as though he would never have that problem. And he is just basically, it's more of what we've seen in the past where they're like, well, they wanted the best seat or they wanted the place of prominence. But Jesus says, "Well, no, actually, you're going to fall away." And Peter insists, no, you're wrong. I will never fall away. And because Peter is such a leader, well, the rest of them said the same thing. Which you have to, wouldn't you assume that means they all said, "Yeah, Jesus," these other 11. Yeah, or I guess 10. Judas wasn't there at that point. These other 10, yeah, you can't trust them, but I'm with you. I'm your guy. This is always a problem. When we assume we can never fall, that is when we're most in danger. We must hold out the possibility that we can fall. We have to take heed in that way. We have to know that really, apart from Jesus, we will fall. And so we must stay close to him and stay leaning on him and stay dependent upon him. We see Jesus later in the garden, he goes away 3 times and prays that, please, if there's some other way, and yet keeps coming back to, but whatever your will is. We might wonder, well, why did he pray that? Well, because he knew what was coming. And he knew that in his humanity, he knew the absolute pain that was involved, but he knew in his divinity the separation it was going to be. He was going to take on the sin of the world, he who knew no sin. You might remember the last time you felt really guilty about something. Jesus had never felt guilty. And he was about to be guilty. And he wasn't looking forward to that. But 3 times he prayed that. And later, 3 times Peter's going to deny. There's not a lot in common that we have with the Lord. But I find it so comforting to know that he said, you're all going to betray me, but I want you to know that I'm going to go ahead of you into Galilee and I'll meet you there. In other words, Jesus is saying in a loving way, you guys are a bunch of losers, really. I mean, we all know it, but you're my losers. And I'm not going to throw you away because this happens. Judas never experienced the forgiveness because he didn't allow himself that luxury. He was his own judge, jury, and executioner. He killed himself. If Judas had waited, he could have had forgiveness for what he did. But he didn't. But Peter did. The others did. They all fell away, and yet Jesus went right back to them and took them. Jesus is under no illusions of what we are. When Jesus calls us to himself, don't ever think that he called you to be his follower because he thought, wow, I got to have this person. They are awesome. They're like, there's not many like them. We got to have them on our team. No. No, Jesus knows what you're all about. He knows your weakness. He knows before you come to him, he knows all the sin. He knows all the stories. He knows where all the bodies are buried. And yet he loves you and he calls you to himself. And he calls you to repent. He calls you from a life of sin. But we also know that if something happens and we come to a place where we find ourselves having sinned again, we can gain forgiveness of sin if we will just come back to him. He won't forsake us in that way. I'm so glad to know that. I'm so glad for the gospel message. I hope that you're having a great day, and I hope to be with you again on Saturday. God bless.